And if you see the rooster running, 16 sexy chicken chasing him, wrong and round the corner. If you see the rooster running, 16 of them imagine, falling for murder. Run, run, Mr. Run, Mr. Kokioko, run, run, Mr. Run, Mr. Kokioko, run, run, Mr. Run, Mr.
This is the news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Good day, welcome to your news at noon on Kaieteur Radio for Wednesday, July 13th, 2022. I'm Kevin Smith, and making headlines today, Stabroek Block profits pull Hess from brink of debt, positioned to be company's engine of growth in the future. Sri Lanka president flees country on military jet. New boot arrangement for a Milo must be cheaper, according to energy technologist. Woman scammed $500,000 looking for love on Facebook. Gaisuka cries foul as iFlood sugar workers go on strike. Woman succumbs to COVID-19, 184 new cases detected. And Cancer Foundation unmasks fake doctor. Stay tuned to stay informed.
Go loud or go home. Never miss out on your favorite local radio segments, local and international podcasts, and DJ mixes.
That's right.
With the Go Loud app. Discover podcasts like Common Sense, Red Table Talk, The Breakfast Club, and the best mixes from DJs worldwide, and much more. Stream all of your favorite local radio stations in one app. Go loud on what matters to you. Download the Go Loud app in the App or Play Store today and start listening.
And now for the news in detail. 3 months ago, the parent company for Hess Guyana Exploration Limited, Hess Corporation, based in the U.S., had a debt to capitalization ratio of 55%. But according to analysts, with so much revenue coming in, that is much less of a concern. This is according to Investors Alley analyst Tony Del Torio, who in a recent analysis noted that the real excitement for investors in Hess is centered on the growing Stabroek Block offshore Guyana. It's the firm's core growth engine going forward and is a game changer for the company due to its large scale and exceptional economics, it was noted. This area is one of the highest margin, lowest carbon intensity oil developments globally, according to a report by the energy consultancy Wood Mackenzie. It was noted that the Stabroek Block, where Hess has a 30% interest and ExxonMobil as the operator, is large and continues to grow, with the company recently increasing the gross discovered recoverable estimate to approximately 11 billion barrels of oil equivalent, up from the previous estimate of about 10 billion. And coming from BBC, Sri Lanka's president, 73-year-old Gotabaya Rajapaksa, has fled the country in a military jet amid mass protests over its economic crisis. Rajapaksa's departure ends a family dynasty that has ruled Sri Lanka for decades. He had been in hiding after crowds stormed his residence on Saturday. The president had earlier pledged to resign today. His brother, former Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa, has also left the country, sources have told the BBC. He's said to be heading to the U.S. On Tuesday evening, there were already thousands of people massing at the park awaiting the president's resignation. Sri Lanka blames President Rajapaksa's administration for their worst economic crisis in decades. For months, they have been struggling with daily power cuts and shortages of basics like fuel, food, and medicines. And Vice President Bharat Jagdeo is determined to pursue the Amaila hydropower project via a build, own, operate, and transfer or BOOT model, in which Guyana will not be standing expenses for the venture up front, but will purchase power through an agreement and take ownership after 20 years. However, energy technologist Mr. Alfred Bulai has signaled that any new arrangement must be cheaper in order to benefit the Guyanese people. He was also keen to restate his position that solar remains the best renewable energy option, citing that this alternative would be best if pursued on a larger scale. Bulai pointed out that he is not against the Amaila Hydro project, explaining that if the agreement comes in at a cheaper price, it could be beneficial. And moving on. Mere hours after the factory resumed operations after a 3-month hiatus, workers at the Iflut Sugar Estate on Tuesday proceeded on strike action demanding holiday with pay for the first crop 2022. In a release, Kaieteur expressed grave concern in relation to the strike action taken by the workers. According to Kaieteur, with the factory having only ground for 14 hours in the first crop due to a mechanical failure, grinding operations for the second crop were set to commence Tuesday. However, disappointingly, the factory workers decided to proceed on strike. In other news, an East Bank Demerara resident, Jafon Hines, found himself before the court on Tuesday facing charges for being part of a romance scheme after allegedly robbing a woman of $500,000. She was looking for love and met a Facebook friend who won her heart, but he turned out to be a scammer who eventually robbed her, allegedly with the help of Hines. Soku investigated the matter, and according to a press release, the victim's Facebook boyfriend promised her a huge package filled with expensive items. But before she could receive the items, the woman had to help out financially with the shipping expenses. She was allegedly instructed to send cash to Jafon Hines and did so on 3 occasions. Unfortunately, she never received the package, and her Facebook love ghosted her. Hines was granted a total bail of $90,000 and is expected to return to court on August 15th. The time has now moved on to 12 hours 7. We'll take a short break and return with your news.
This is GHK Lal inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues. Immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
Welcome back. Let us continue with your news. Following the Facebook post of the Guyana Cancer Foundation on Tuesday notifying the public that 27-year-old Mikhail Thaddeus McLennan is not a doctor and is no longer affiliated with the foundation, the man admitted guilt and quickly apologized to those who were affected by his actions. Bibi Saida Akhtar Hassan, the president of the foundation on Tuesday morning, in a statement explained that McLennan had asked to be a volunteer with the foundation and he was hired. However, she noted that after McLennan was hired, persons from the media and others called to confirm that he is not a doctor. According to Hassan, she then questioned McLennan about his medical degree and he refused to send a copy of it to her. She said he claimed he worked at a pharmacy in New Amsterdam that she later found out did not exist. He explained that he started UG in 2016 to become a medical doctor. It was stated that due to financial constraints, he had to drop out. However, he noted becoming a doctor was still his passion and in his heart he is a doctor, so he placed himself in situations that would give him knowledge. Get the full details in today's Kaieteur News. And moving on, an unvaccinated 79-year-old woman from Region 7 who contracted COVID-19 died on Sunday. This is according to the Ministry of Health, who reported yesterday that as a result of this, the country's COVID-19 death toll has moved to 1,263. The ministry recorded 184 new cases, taking the total number of confirmed cases in Guyana to 68,409. And moving on, local economist Elson Lowe has warned that Guyana should not allow its debt to climb due to the projections of the oil and gas sector. According to Lowe, this type of borrowing is risky since it is based on projections from oil and gas prices, which are subject to extreme volatility. The Bank of Guyana, which documented the country's performance in the first 3 months of the year, found that the state now owes an additional $124.4 million in debt, bringing the total number to $3.248 billion. According to the economic advisor, the government must be wary about this quest to borrow huge sums of money since it may not be able to sustain the long run. Lowe noted that while Guyana has always been borrowing, new avenues have opened up for the country to take out more loans because of its projected gross domestic product growth. He explained, however, that the GDP projections often paint a picture that is totally different from the reality of the country. In other news, the full court and appeal jurisdiction within the High Court has once more refused an application by Vice President Bharat Jagdeo to hear his request to set aside or recall the default judgment award of $20 million granted to former Minister of Housing Annette Ferguson for libel. Jagdeo had previously lost the libel case to Ferguson because of his failure to file his defense in keeping with the time limit and rules of the court. Ferguson had sued Jagdeo over some alleged slanderous statements he made about her owning house lots and secured $20 million on a default judgment. And now let's tell you, the government of Guyana said it will not allow the current impasse at the level of the parliamentary committee established to initiate the process to bring about constitutional reform to stop the work from being accomplished. This was expressed by Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandlal, even as he sought to address some of the concerns raised over the current state of the consultation happening at the level of the committee. Major changes to the constitution require a two-third majority of the parliament for passage. The PPPC enjoys a one-seat majority, which would not get it anyway, to make the type of changes to the constitution it promised without the support from the opposition. Besides, when it was in government, the coalition faced similar events from the PPPC opposition on matters of constitutional reform. In fact, the PPPC had boycotted efforts to move the process forward. With the time now moving on to 12 hours 12 in Guyana, we wrap things up with the page 7 of today's Kaieteur News. AFC looking for a husband. The Alliance for Change has signaled that it is preparing to break ranks with the People's National Congress reform when the Cummings-Berg Accord expires at the end of the year and would be looking for a new partner. The diehards in the PNCR have scoffed at the announcement, likening the AFC to a Judas and blaming the fledgling party for the coalition's fall from grace. Whatever might be the reason for the AFC cutting and running, it is the belief of many that the party of Kemrad Ramjatan and Raffle Trotman has no real political future, so whether they go or stay, it will have little impact on the PNCR. The AFC certainly does not think so, and its leader Ramjatan hinted that they will seek alliances with some of the other small parties. Coalition politics, though desirable here, has proven to be a very difficult venture. One always got the impression that the end was near for the APNU-AFC coalition once it was voted out of office. With no real constituency, it is left to be seen how this party fares going forward. All we know is that it was the AFC's faction of the coalition that helped to sell out this country and is responsible for one of the worst oil contracts in the world. Good luck to the party that would be so bold to court, engage, and marry them. Now that brings us to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's Newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.